All right, ladies, let's get real for a sec. How many of you ever felt like you're giving 110% in your relationship while barely getting a text back? Or maybe you wondered, am I asking for too much? Or have I just gotten my worth? Well, I'm about to drop the top 8 pieces of advice that every woman needs to hear. Whether you're single, dating, married, or somewhere in between, these aren't your grandma's relationship tips. We're talking real, no bullshit advice to help you own your worth, strengthen your connection, and create the love life that you deserve. Here's the thing. Relationships aren't about settling. They're about building trust, passion, and a partnership where you're seen, heard, and celebrated, not just tolerated. And if you've ever found yourself overthinking his every move or doubting your own instincts, this one's for you. I'm diving into the stuff that they don't tell you about love, how to set boundaries that feel good, spot red flags before you ignore them, and show up in your relationship without losing yourself in the process. This isn't your typical how to make him love you bullshit. It's raw, honest, and all about you stepping into your power, ready to flip the script on love and feel like the badass that you are in your relationship. Let's do this. First up, let's put away the scoreboard. Love is not a competition. It's a team sport. So let's get real for a minute. Keeping score in your relationship, it's fucking exhausting. And if you've been feeling like you're carrying more of the load, whether it's in chores, emotional support, or intimacy, I see you. I hear you. The frustration is valid. It is so easy to feel like you're giving more than you're getting. You might even be thinking, why am I the only one that notices all of these things need to be done? Or why am I the only one initiating connection? Those feelings can build up, which will make you feel unseen, unappreciated, and just plain old tired. Here's the thing. Keeping score is a natural reaction when you're trying to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. But the truth is, it often backfires. Instead of building connection, it builds resentment. It shifts your mindset from us to me versus you. And that is where the cracks start to form. I get it. It is so hard not to keep tabs when you feel like things are so unbalanced. But love isn't a competition. It's not about who did the dishes last or who initiated sex last time. Relationships thrive when both people give freely, not because they have to, but because they want to. So how do we move forward? First, you have to drop the scoreboard. Let go of tallying who did what. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do to support us as a team today? And just notice that shift. It's not about me or them, it's about us. And here's where it gets powerful. Focus on small, intentional acts of love. Maybe it's offering to do a task that they normally handle. Maybe sending a sweet little text. Or simply asking, how can I make your day just a little bit easier? When both people approach the relationship with this kind of mindset, it creates a ripple effect. But listen, if you're feeling like the balance is way the fuck off and you're the one always picking up the slack, it is okay to address that. You need to have an honest, open conversation truly about what you need. Say something like, I'm feeling very overwhelmed and I would love for us to figure out a way to make things feel more balanced. And then here's the last piece. You need to let go of the expectations. True generosity in a relationship comes from giving without expecting something in return. When you shift from keeping score to actually giving freely, that's where the trust grows. That's where the intimacy deepens. What's one small thing that you can do today to support your relationship without any strings attached? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear how you're showing up for your team. Now that we're ditching the mental tally, let's talk about something that makes love even sweeter. Here's the truth. Even when the scorekeeping stops, there's another silent relationship killer lurking. Emotional starvation. Knowing your partner's love language is hot, but you know what's even hotter? Knowing your own. Because when you both speak each other's love languages fluently, intimacy gets fluent too. If you're not feeling seen, heard, or loved, yeah, love languages are trendy, but here's the kicker. Knowing your partner's love language is only half of the equation. Do you know yours? If you're secretly yearning for quality time while settling for empty compliments, you're starving yourself emotionally. Speak up about what you need to. It is so sexy to know yourself. If you don't know your own, you're setting yourself up to settle. You can't thrive emotionally if you're longing for quality time, but settling for a quick, you look great. That's not love, that's surviving. Take a moment to ask yourself, what truly makes me feel loved? Is it words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, gifts, acts of service? That one's mine. Once you know the answer, don't keep it to yourself. You need to speak up. Say, hey, this is what makes me feel connected to you. It's not demanding, it's empowering. And have them do the same. When you honor each other's love languages, everything changes. Your connection becomes intentional. Your efforts land where they're needed, and your intimacy grows deeper than ever. Speaking of deepening the intimacy, if you're ready to reconnect with your body and your desires, check out my Reclaim Your Libido download. It's full of actionable tips to help you feel confident, sexy, and seen. I'll make sure to link it in the description connection. Before we go any further though, let me know in the comments, what is your love language? Now that we've got love languages covered and you're starting to speak each other's, let's talk about intimacy. And spoiler alert, it's not always about sex. In fact, some of the most meaningful intimacy happens outside of the bedroom. Here's where it gets juicy. Intimacy isn't just about what happens under the sheets. It's what happens in the little moments. But before we dive in, let me just say this. If you've ever felt like something was just missing from your relationship, like you're going through the motions but just not really connecting, I see you. That feeling of craving closeness, more attention, more us moments, that's valid. You are not asking for too much. You're asking for what every relationship needs, intimacy. And here's where we flip that script. It's laughing at each other's dumb jokes, sending a random "I'm thinking of you" text, or grabbing their hand during a Target run just because it feels right. These small moments, they are the foundation. When you take time to connect emotionally and mentally, you're building a relationship where both of you feel seen, valued, and wanted. And that energy spills into the physical connection. Want to start today? Compliment your partner on something not about how they look. Say, "I love how thoughtful you were with that thing yesterday," or "You always know how to make me laugh when I need it." Watch their face light up when they realize that you see the deeper parts of who they are. And if this feels good to you, let me tell you, my upcoming workshops are packed with actionable tools just like this, but even deeper, to help you reconnect emotionally, physically, and intimately. They're designed to help you feel more confident, more connected, and just more you in your relationship. I'll also link these in the description. Another way to spark intimacy is to be playful. Dance in the kitchen while dinner's cooking. Tease them about something silly. Or plan a surprise date night that doesn't require a special occasion. Playfulness keeps the spark alive and makes the day-to-day feel extraordinary. When intimacy becomes a habit outside of the bedroom, it transforms what happens inside. It's no longer about performance, it's about connection. Here's your challenge. What's one small, non-sexual way you can create intimacy with your partner today? Drop it in the comments. Maybe somebody else will love it. And hey, if this is resonating with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Here, we're all about honest, no BS conversations about love, intimacy, and confidence. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. So we just talked about how intimacy isn't always about sex and how those small everyday moments create deeper connection. But what happens when those moments still don't feel like enough? Let's get into it, because babe, it's okay to want more pleasure, more connection, more communication. It's all valid. You're not needy or too much for wanting to truly feel seen and heard. Let me say this loud and clear. Your needs are valid, full stop. And here's the thing, it's not just about wanting more, it's about how you ask for it. That's where the magic happens. Instead of letting that frustration build or hoping that your partner reads your mind, start the conversation with something like this. "Hey, this is important to me because." When you frame your needs about why they matter to you, it sort of shifts the energy. It's not about blaming or guilt trapping. It's about inviting your partner into your world and helping them understand what's at stake. For example, instead of saying, "We never spend time together anymore," try, "I miss the way that we used to have lazy Sunday mornings together. It made me feel so connected to you." See the difference? You're opening the door for collaboration, not conflict. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, "But what if they don't step up?" That's where boundaries come in. Asking for more doesn't mean settling for crumbs. It means standing firm in your worth and being willing to have the tough conversations if things don't shift. And that is why I have my coaching and workshops to help you navigate these moments, communicate your needs, and create the intimacy that you deserve with my support. Whether it's in the bedroom or beyond, you're allowed to want more, and I'm here to help you get it. Here's another challenge. What's one thing that you've been holding back on sharing? Start the conversation with, "Hey, this is important to me because," and then just see what happens. And if you're brave enough, share it in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're taking the first step. Okay, so we just talked about how it's okay to want more, but what happens when that need for more creates conflict? Desiring more isn't needy, it's knowing your worth. And when you own that, everything shifts. But let's be real, sometimes wanting more leads to friction. So let's talk about why that's not just normal, but necessary. Because fights are supposed to happen. First, let me say this. If you've ever felt like fighting means that your relationship is doomed, or that conflict is something to avoid at all costs, I hear you, because the idea of keeping the peace can feel safer than diving into those tough conversations. But let me tell you something. Avoiding fights does not mean that your relationship is healthy. It means things are not being addressed. If you think never fighting is the ultimate #relationship goals, it is so time to flip that. Fights, when done right, are how you grow together. They're how you learn about each other's triggers, boundaries, and needs. They're messy, yes, but they're also necessary. The key is to don't fight to win. This isn't about scoring points or proving who's right. Aim to understand. When emotions run high, you need to pause for a second, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, this is somebody I love, not somebody I'm trying to destroy. Because when you take a fight from a place of defensiveness, you're more likely to say something that you can't take back. And let's be real, we've all been there. It fucking sucks. Here's a tip. When you feel that tension building, call a timeout. Say something like, I need time to process this so I don't say something that I regret. The pause is not avoidance. It is maturity. It gives you both a chance to cool down and approach the issue with clarity instead of raw emotion. And remember that fighting isn't just about airing your grievances. It's about finding solutions. Instead of saying, you never listen to me, try saying, I feel unheard when this happens. Can we figure out how to change it together? See how that kind of shifts the tone? If navigating those fights feels overwhelming, that's why I created my coaching and workshops. They're designed to give you the tools to navigate conflict with grace and build deeper, more meaningful connections. So next time you feel a fight brewing, take a breather and focus on understanding instead of reacting. So we just talked about how fights are supposed to happen and how they can actually help your relationship grow. But let me tell you about the ultimate relationship hack. One that starts with you. Girl, self-love is not just some Instagram-worthy buzzword. It is a non-negotiable. Let's get real. If you've ever felt drained or unseen, or like you're constantly giving more than you're getting, I see you. That feeling of being depleted is real and it's exhausting. Here's the thing. You can't pour from an empty cup, and expecting your partner to fill it for you isn't the answer. Self-love is where it starts. And I'm talking about self-pleasure, confidence, boundaries, and self-respect don't just magically show up because you're in a relationship. They come from within. When you take time to love yourself and pleasure yourself, you set the tone for everything else in life, including your relationship. And here's the kicker. When you show up as your best badass self, your partner notices. It's magnetic. When they see you taking care of yourself, respecting your boundaries, and owning your confidence, it inspires them to show up differently too. Self-love doesn't just elevate you, it elevates the entire relationship. Now, before I drop the last two biggest pieces of advice, I need you to hit that like and subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any of the juicy bombs that I drop weekly. This is your space. Own it. Okay, we've talked about self-love is the ultimate relationship hack, but let's tackle another big lie that we've all been told, that long-term desire just magically happens. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The movies lied to you. Desire takes work, and that's not a bad thing. If you've ever felt like the spark has faded out or that your connection isn't as fiery as it used to be, let me tell you something. You're not broken, and neither is your relationship. Desire isn't something that just happens. It's something you build. Think about it. In the beginning, everything feels electric because it's new. But as time goes on, life happens. Stress, routines, kids, work, and suddenly that spark feels like a distant memory. But the good news, you don't have to wait for the spark to come back. You can light the damn thing yourself. Curiosity is the key to long-term desire. Start by asking questions that bring a fresh sense of discovery to the relationship. Like, hey, what's something that you've wanted to try but you've never told me? Or what's a fantasy that we could explore together? These conversations aren't just fun, they're intimate. They remind you that there's still more to learn about each of you, and that's beautiful. And don't be afraid to try new things, whether it's a new position or a new toy, or even just taking time to just focus on each other without distractions. That effort creates excitement. It's about showing up, being vulnerable, and letting your guard down just enough to say, let's explore this together. And if you're not even sure where to start, check out my Reclaim Your Libido download. Okay, so we've uncovered some big truths today, but before I drop the biggest, and in my opinion, the most important tip, let's just quickly recap what we talked about. Stop keeping score. Love isn't a competition. Put down the scoreboard and focus on what you can do to support your relationship as a team. Learn their love language and yours. Learning how you and your partner give and receive love creates clarity and a deeper connection. Don't forget, your needs matter too. Intimacy isn't always sex. The little everyday moments of connection, laughing, holding hands, or sharing a memory lay the groundwork for deeper intimacy. It's okay to want more. More pleasure, connection, and communication aren't needy. They're essential. Asking for what you need strengthens the bond between you and your partner. Fights are supposed to happen. Conflict is how we grow together, when done right. It's not about winning, it's about understanding. Self-love sets the foundation. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. And loving yourself first creates the confidence and energy that fuels your relationship. And desire takes work. Long-term passion doesn't just appear. It's built through curiosity, vulnerability, and the willingness to explore each other. All right, let's bring it home with the climax of this conversation. You're going to want to pay attention to this one. Let's dive into something that a lot of us struggle with. Something I've personally struggled with. Change. And let me tell you, it's okay to change. If you've ever felt scared to grow or worried that evolving might upset the balance of your relationship, I see you. I've been there. For me, change felt like I was somehow betraying my past, like admitting that I wanted something different now meant rejecting everything that I was before. I didn't want to insult my childhood or the version of me that worked so hard to survive. But here's what I've learned. Change isn't about conforming, and it's not about giving in. It's about stepping into who you're meant to be. The truth is, you're not the same person you were when you met your partner. And guess what? They're not the same person either. Relationships aren't static, they evolve. And growth doesn't mean that you're growing apart. It means that you're learning how to adapt and love each other through every version of yourselves. Let me ask you this. When was the last time that you got really curious curious about your partner. Not just what they're doing today, but who they're becoming. What are their dreams now? What lights them up? When you take the time to discover who they are in this chapter of their life, it keeps the connection alive. And don't forget to let them meet the new you too. For me, the scariest part of the change was wondering if I'd still be loved for who I was becoming. But here's the thing, when you own your evolution and invite your partner to grow with you, it becomes an opportunity to build something even stronger. Here's your last challenge. What's one part of you that's grown or changed recently? Share it in the comments. If you loved this video or felt any validation from it, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it's your clitoris about ready to hit the climax. You also might want to check out this video here, all about how to get turned on, unlocking your pleasure, where I talk about the secrets to connecting with your desire. Don't forget to check out all the juicy links I'll drop in the description. Until next week, I'm Courtney Hurin, your climax queen, and I'm glad you came.